We have. Hey, Tammy.
Hi, Dr. Rob. Welcome, everyone. It's Labor Day here in the US, and we are online. And we have a question, Dr. Rob.
I'm all
Okay,
in.
so the first question is, what can the betrayed partner do to build up trust in the addict? I'm like, and I would appreciate clarity if
You-
you are looking, because I think I know how I'm reading this,
Right.
but I want to make sure. Are you looking for the addict partner to become trustworthy? And are you thinking you can change that? Or are you, as a betrayed partner, looking to be trustworthy to the addict? I would welcome, type in one more little component to that.
Well, we can also answer, I mean, the question I see is what can betrayed partner do to start building up trust with their addict partner? Now, that may not be correct, but we can answer that question and
I
then we're
want to
fine with
know,
it.
like, which way, because if an addict partner is thinking
We can
that
do
they are
both.
going to make, yes, absolutely. Okay, have
So
at
let's
it.
try this one. Oh, I
Doctor
got it.
got it.
Okay.
Okay.
So you want to explain the question, Tammy? So
No,
we'll
you
keep
do a
going.
better job because, yeah. So,
Okay, so what the partner is asking is, how can I begin to trust the addict, the person who's harmed me, the person who I love, and yet they betrayed me? How do I begin the process of trusting them again? Oh, and by the way, when I said process, it's process. It's not like you just one day say, I trust them. Um, I have a little, what do you call it? A math thing, which is um, trust is trust is honesty and integrity. Sorry, trust is honesty over integrity and commitment. So trust is when you see somebody beginning to tell the truth. I think that's number one about everything. I took out the garbage. I meant, and just, I think honesty is the most thing. I know for every spouse, it becomes the little things
mhm.
because if you can't trust someone to do the little things. So I think just in a broad sense, beginning to see that someone is following through on their commitments, that they are showing up, that you invite them to go have a bite to eat and they're not sitting there saying, well, I've got a lot to do. And they actually hear what's important to you and listen. So these are very high level things that I would observe because a lot of partners say to me, I don't feel like we have any intimacy before they even say anything about sex. So I'm saying, well, how do you develop intimacy? You talk to each other, you spend time to each other. There's a sense of honesty and trust that's built up. Okay. So for the addict part, and I know Tammy's going to say this, I need to see behavior. If my acting out was behavior, right, whether it was eating or gambling or whatever that was, then I need to have a behavior change. And this is a chronic problem. Addiction does not go away. It's like depression or anxiety can reappear under stress, and we don't even necessarily know when it's coming. So I have to regularly practice. It's like taking your blood sugar. Well, I think that's probably going to change soon. But taking your blood sugar when you have diabetes, you need to check and see, is your sugar high? Is your sugar low? And you have to continue to do that your whole life because until there's new technology. Because if you don't, then you never know when you're going to be physically ill. You just don't necessarily know. It's really the same with emotional illness. You have to see this person committed to change over time. That has to involve other people. It cannot be just them reading a book or taking a class. We teach classes. That's great, but they are supposed to go along with therapy, go along with 12-step programs. They're not meant to be, oh, you listen to a podcast or you listen to a course and that's it. So I'm giving a long answer, but I just want to say it is beginning to develop a relationship of trust and honesty and enjoying each other and seeing the person is following through. And on the other hand, it is watching them take responsibility for their problem by going and getting support from other people on a regular basis. We find 12-step programs to be very helpful. That doesn't have to be the only choice. We have free groups that meet. Tammy can tell you about them or send you a link. And also, I want to see that person, if at all possible, in some kind of therapy. So, and not couples therapy, not in the beginning. In the beginning, I know some of you are in couples therapy. Let's work this out and, make the choices you make. This is just my opinion. But my experience of early problems with a couple is basically two things happen. The person who's been acting out says, I'm so, so sorry. Please forgive me. And the person who has been harmed is like, you ruined my life and I hate you. And there's not much else to say in the beginning. So individual therapy, going to 12-step programs, engaging with other people who are on the same road. I would also want to see someone engage in social activity with these people. I went with someone from a meeting and had coffee after. We went and played some volleyball or went to a game with friends. That they're beginning to develop a social life that is focused in part on these people that are helping them heal. So that was a long answer, Tammy. I think I touched some of the bases, but I bet
You
you
no,
have more.
no, you did a great job. And so on the couples therapy, here's the other scenario. Because you when you're talking about the couples therapy example, you're assuming that the addict is coming forward and saying, I did something wrong. I get the lots of like he never owned up to anything. And unfortunately, non-trained therapists bought into hook, line, and sinker, that, and focused on the partner. What do you need to do in order to, fix this relationship? So I'm with you. I lots of experience says couples therapy early on is not optimal, and everybody chooses their path. So no judgment. We're just sharing, the stuff we've learned along the way. The thing you were talking about with trust, I think where I was getting twisted with this is like it's not a partner's job to work on trusting as much as it is the addict's job to work on building trust, being trustworthy, showing actionable things,
Nice.
just like you said. And so like you know, to me, it isn't like, well, I need to work on trusting you more. It would be your job to work on doing the things that show me that you are trustworthy. That was, and he's in recovery.
And
This is
both of
not
you should
us, but
know,
yeah, yes,
you should be able to say, you know what, when you come home on time, just that little
yes.
thing makes me trust you more. And if you're going to be 10 minutes late, call me. I can handle it. But, oh, I was late and I forgot to call you because it may be true, but I'm going to set you up to not trust me to feel. By the way, I wrote a book for men about this called Out of the Doghouse, a relationship saving men caught, a relationship saving
Guide for men
guide. Thank you,
caught
for men caught
cheating.
cheating. And we actually
Yes.
teach a course. I find a lot of well, I don't think any man, whether he's an addict or not, really understands what a woman goes through when she's been cheated on. It just doesn't have the same resonance for us as men. Not saying we're right or wrong, but we're different. And I think that they needed a book to say, this is how you do it if you want to make your partner feel better. And if you don't want to do these things, find another partner that you can treat badly. I was going to say one more thing, Tammy, about all of this. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I can't tell you, well, I run a treatment center or I oversee and I'm involved with Seeking Integrity. And most of the people who call about it will get Tammy, and then there's all kinds of other people there. But I run some of the group therapies and I sit with the guys, and trust me, 80% of them lied to their therapist. 80% of them lied in their couples therapy. So, and literally, I've had guys, I just had one recently who said, oh, I went to therapy for 3 years and made my wife feel really, did you tell the truth? Well, no. So what was the point of the therapy if what was going on underneath was never disclosed? So one of the things I worry about in couples therapy, or even an individual, is that I come back from the therapist and I say, they told me that you should or you shouldn't. Well, addicts lie. It's okay for me to do this and that. My therapist told me that. Let me check it out with them. I want to hear more about that. So lying is endemic to the being an addict. And part of it is, or at least one in not recovery, is what is going on in therapy that you may be told or feel has been told that isn't true. So, and how sad to spend money on the hope that healing will occur when it can never occur when I'm lying. So,
To myself and everyone else. I mean, denial is I'm lying to myself. So, okay, next question, Dr. Rob. I'm the betrayed partner. First D Day was over a year ago, and third D Day was this past March. Sex addict partner and I have been in SAA and COSA respectively since April. We have a couples therapist, and he just started seeing a CSAT. That's kind of the opposite that we were just talking about. SA partner has been avoided attachment style and thinks he might be intimacy anorexic too. Every time we make positive headway as a couple and in our own recoveries, he self sabotages and starts wondering if he really loves me or wants to be with me. And when things get between us, or when things between us get bad because of that, he realizes he loves me so much and then goes back to committing to me and working hard with me, us on his own recovery. This is crazy making cycle. How do I navigate through this? The infidelity is hard enough to work through, let alone these other issues.
hey, Tammy, could you talk about this when you hear a lot about this, this insanity? I think that you're a great person to start with that. Um, and by the way, I want to emphasize one thing, avoidant, intimacy
Mhm.
avoidant. You're seeing it in practice, but I think there's more going on there than has been said. And Tammy, what are your thoughts?
So You know who I actually refer to when I hear this stuff? Dr. Rob does this all the time. Come here, go away. Come here, go away. I
I
honestly, I
do.
do. Yes, you do. No, 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 no. You have
Oh,
no, no, not to
I,
me. No, you have said addicts will do the come here, go away. So I parrot what you say because that's a typical addict response. Come here. No, go away. And I'm like, this is just massive in here. And you know what I'm looking at? It's a crazy making cycle. And you know how you stop that cycle? You set healthy boundaries for you. This is not about what he's doing. Like, and why does he get to go? I love you. Oh, I'm not sure I want to be with you. Like, like, okay, I get some energy around this because
no,
this is
but
the stuff that
boundaries, that's
drives
what I
me
was hoping you
crazy.
would talk about
Yeah,
is
yeah.
boundaries.
This drives me crazy when the addict is still like, well, I'm all in. Well, I'm not. I'm all in. I'm not. And the partner's going. So I put a tag to the both the Empowered Women's Retreat. We talk extensively and practice boundaries, internal boundaries and external boundaries. And if you don't know what that means, that's a clue. There is also the betrayed partner work group that starts on the 4th this week. So that one starts on Wednesday. And then the Out of the Doghouse work group, I put the tag in there for that one too, that starts on the 5th. But I am also concerned about his cycle of addiction, and you've had 3 discoveries and all of that kind of stuff. To me, I don't know what kind of solid foundation he has, but for you, healthy boundaries for you would be you go work on you. I'm not doing couples therapy until I'm going to get support for me. I help lots of people find pro-dependent aligned therapists. That means Dr. Rob wrote a book. If you have not listened to that podcast or read that book, please do. But that means nothing you did or didn't do caused this. It's got nothing to do with you. You deserve support, and an addict needs accountability. And
Well, you've
that's
been
my concern.
victimized by it, but there's
Yes,
nothing you did to cause it or make it happen. And
correct.
there's
Yes.
nothing you can do to make it happen or not happen again. And I think so many spouses, I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Tammy. I
No, please.
apologize.
I'm turning it over to you. So please.
Well, I wrote down some things. And by the way, when you see me look down, I'm not chatting with friends. I'm actually taking notes, which I throw away, but my brain, sometimes things come through and I just need to put it down. So one of the things that made me uncomfortable in this scenario is let me see, where is it? My sex addict partner has an avoidant attachment style, and he thinks he may be intimacy anorexic too. My response is, who cares? Why are you, excuse my language, all up in his psychiatry or psychology? That is not your business, and it feels manipulative. Oh, honey, I've got this and I've got that, and this is why I struggle. And it feels like excuses, and I don't think the addict is any I don't think that you have any reason to be particularly empathic. I think he's trying to manipulate you. I've been through this and I have these issues, and you have to understand. And I'm thinking, no, you don't. It doesn't matter what has gone on with this person. They can still, if they can walk and talk and have a job or drive a car, then they can work on this no matter what their history has been. And so when I hear this has happened once and twice and whatever, I think about Tammy saying boundaries. Can this person just do it over and over and over again? How long will you be able to tolerate where it leaves you feeling? Because forget what this person is doing. You said it makes me crazy. You have to find a situation or a space where you can feel safe. That is your boundaries. It doesn't matter what he does. Of course, it matters to you emotionally what he or she does, but you have to say, I'm not up for another disclosure. I'm not going to find. And what does that mean if you do? And then you have to follow through. I'm gonna lock the doors and I'm gonna kick you out of this house if you do this again. You better do that, because if you don't, we learn, oh, they said it, but they
You
didn't
didn't
mean
really
it.
mean it.
So be careful what you say and say what you mean. There was one other thing I wrote. Oh, this is such a great addict, and it is an intimacy avoidant thing. 2 pieces. One I wrote down, which is, this is so true for the addicts. When I want to act out, or I'm acting out sexually or romantically or with porn, in my head, I feel entitled because you're not this and you're not that. I may even say it to you, well, if you're real nice to me, you had more time with me, or, you know how hard I have to work, or, you've gained little weight, or we give you reasons, the opposite of what we said, to doubt yourself, to question yourself, because it makes us feel, big word for addicts, entitled. if my spouse was more this or wasn't more that, and by the way, you start to believe some of that, then we feel entitled. Like, I didn't get what I want from my partner, so I'm going to go over here to get it. The truth is, though, if you move 1 inch away from us, you move 1 inch, we are so attached to you, and it is terrifying. All that stuff goes out of the window when we actually think you're going to go away. And so, yes, we are all over you when we're in the fear of losing you. But as long as we feel like we've got you in that box, then we're going to do all the things that we want to do. And in our heads, we're going to blame you. He said he loves you so much. If he loves you so much, why is he acting this way? It wouldn't be, we have a treatment program. And if he loves you so much, we always have a bed for people who love their spouses and would like me and Tammy to have a conversation with them. So, what is he doing to have this change, and what are you seeing? Um, and I don't, yeah, anyway, love is behavior. He loves me so much. He says, what is he doing? How is he acting in a loving way? Words are great so if someone hasn't betrayed you and broken your trust, once they have, it's what are they doing to prove to me that they're actually in a healing place? This is a big ass manipulation, excuse my language, and he's using you for sure on a whole bunch of levels. So, and Lord knows what he's telling his therapist about you.
Well, and I
Um,
want to just one more thought on the boundaries. I get from partners, if I put in boundaries, he doesn't honor them. Well, then there's consequences. This is not about control or punishment. And an addict will go, "Well, you're trying to control me." No, I'm taking care of me. Like boundaries have nothing to do with you other than I'm looking at what you're, and I like the trust question above. Like, you can't build trust with somebody who's doing this. I can imagine how dysregulating this is. Like, okay, things are going pretty good. So he's gonna, like, he's
right.
gonna bolt in a minute and tell me he doesn't really love me and doesn't want to be in this, and the emotional or the intimacy anorexic. Our treatment program, when people call, and I put the link in for our 14, 21, or 28-day length of stay expert treatment. It's not just about stopping the problematic behaviors. It's about addressing those underlying issues. But I say it's for sex addicts, porn addicts, people struggling with intimacy disorders. And intimacy, Dr. Rob did pulled up in early June. You can look at the previously recorded webinar, but he pulled up, the top 15 words for intimacy. None of them were sex. None of
Mm-hmm.
them were sex. And so people go, "Oh, I'm an intimacy anorexic," whatever that means. And it's like, no, you're avoiding vulnerability and
Mm-hmm.
connection. You're missing out on true connection with your partner who clearly loves you, has been in this, in this crazy making world, because you still wanting to hang on to this stuff. You've had 3 disclosures in a year. I mean, goodness, like, at some point, for the you betrayed partner, healthy boundaries for you. It's not about him. When the Empowered Women retreat, we focus on the women that come to us. We don't let them talk about him and his behaviors, because this is what do we need to do. And they look different from Thursday night to Saturday night. They're laughing by Saturday night. They're not Thursday night yet, but by Saturday night they're connected. They're laughing. They are like, I have not felt this good, in months, and sometimes even years. And so there's an opportunity for healing for you. October 24th through 27th. I hope you'll join. So
I want to say one more thing about boundaries
please.
because I want to be very concrete. I can think in my head, if I kick you out, you're going to get it. If I make you sleep somewhere else, if I threaten divorce, well, then you're going to get it. Then you're going to change. Then you're going to. That's not setting a boundary. That's threatening someone. Setting a boundary is, if this continues, I can't live with you, or I can't be in a situation where we go forward, whatever this. That's not to make them do it. Now, they may say, okay, I'm going to do treatment. Okay, that's great. But you're not doing it for the effect on them. That may have an effect on them, but you have to take care of you without the expectation, Lord knows this is the hard part, that whatever you do is going to change them because you didn't make them this way and you can't change them this way. That's a decision that we have to make. Let's move on. We've been
Yes.
answering this a lot.
The next question is, and we bump up against this pretty regularly too. Thank you for the opportunity to ask questions. Can you talk about middle circle behavior versus inner circle behavior? For those of you that don't know, we talk about a 3 circle, and the outer circle are the healthy things. The inner circle or middle circle is the slippery slope, and the inner circle is the you've slipped, acted out, relapse. Okay, so my husband and I are in an in-home therapeutic separation after his relapse a few months ago. Recently, I discovered that he snipped and recorded what he claims was PG trailers with beautiful women for 3 hours late at night. He feels this was a middle circle, and my CSAT says it was definitely inner circle behavior, and he is gaslighting me.
Tammy, why don't you start? I'm going to pull up a three-circle plan so people can see what it is, and then we can explain it.
Yes.
Let me just say what Tammy's talking about in the largest sense is that if I'm an alcoholic, sobriety is I stop drinking, I stop using. If I am, if I have a compulsive gambling problem, I stop gambling. You know, that's it. I can live without gambling. I can live without drinking and using. But sex, eating, those are healthy parts of my life. I don't want to get rid of them. So I set this circle plan in order to determine what is sobriety for me. Is it having this kind of sex? Is it having that kind of sex? Is it doing, you know, and then well, I'll show it to them. But the point is, it is a plan by which I can say, I have 30 days, I have 3 years, whatever that means. That person can count sobriety in the same way that an alcoholic or drug addict does. So, Tammy, why don't you have thoughts about this? I know you
I
do.
do have thoughts, Dr. Rob. So I am thinking that he did not come to you before he decided to do this and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about snipping some pictures of beautiful women for the next 3 hours while I sit at the computer all by myself." Are you going to be okay with that? Will that be part of our in-home separation that will make you feel better about our relationship? And I'm saying this kind of sarcastically because I know for sure that did not happen. I discovered, so if he felt so good about that behavior in the first, like, sitting for 3 hours and doing anything like that, was that the best use of his time? If he's
Sweetheart,
in
could you
there,
not vacuum while I'm working? Sorry,
if that's
I
okay.
couldn't. My apologies. Go
So
ahead, Tammy.
yeah, somebody's vacuuming. Your house is getting
Yes.
clean.
So I want to
But
share something with these
well,
folks.
just hang on 1 second. Let me finish my
Go
thought,
ahead.
and then you can do that. So to me, he didn't reach out to his sponsor. He didn't reach out to his therapist. He chose to do that, and now he's justifying. And so I'm like, if I have to pick, I'm with your, I'm with it. I'm with your CSAT. I'm going like that is, that is absolutely not okay behaviors. So, but
Okay. Well,
the
I'm gonna,
gaslighting, and
right.
please, yeah, you should be able to share screen. I made you co-host.
I
Yep.
am doing
Okay.
that. God knows all of my other
There you
bad
go.
things. So I didn't do this version, and this nice man did. But I want to show you it's a great example of what we use for sobriety and what we ask the addicts to do. So you see in the inner circle, we ask them to put their list of things that are absolutely unacceptable for them to do. That is their sobriety. Seeing a sex worker, calling an old girlfriend, looking at porn, whatever that is for them. And it can be all kinds of things, but it is the part they're keeping secret, the part around which they have no integrity, the split off part of them that they're hiding. This is their acting out. And so it becomes, and by the way, it can change. You know, it may be that I'm out of a relationship and what's in that circle may be something to do with dating. And then I get in a relationship and what happens there may become more about that one person. In the middle circle, by the way, we do this in the treatment center. We sit and work on with it. All of the clients and all the patients go through this and they all read them to each other. So they have some accountability. So the middle circle is what am I doing that is leading toward trouble? Now, this can be a thing that I'm doing, like I am, I've been on the computer and thinking to myself, nobody's around. And if I just, oh yeah, I can start looking at this magazine, I can start looking at those images. Before you know it, I'm right back where I started. Now, for someone else, that might be, I can't look at those images. That might be a no for them. For someone else, it may be a warning sign. So you have to understand these are different for different people, and it's not universal. I wanted to add one thing. My middle circle could be having a fight with my family. It could be having financial problems. It could be going back to drinking. In other words,
Boredom.
or yeah, it could be anything that is a warning sign that I'm in trouble. It could be on the way to sexual behavior. But as I said, this is a stress-driven illness in some ways. One of the first things I say to the guys in treatment is, how many of you work 60, 80 hours a week? Well, that's over. Because if you're working 80 hours a week, that in itself is a risk. You're not taking care of yourself. You're not focusing on you. So the outer circle, you'll notice, is the biggest one. And that is the one where we have to look at what kind of joy and happiness in a practiced way do we have in our life. I know alcoholics will say, well, what fun am I going to have if I can't drink because they've been drinking for so long? Well, they have sober dances, they have activities. This is where I would want to play golf with some friends. This is where I would want to travel with my spouse. This is where I'd want to paint that room I've always painted or medicate or sorry, medicate, meditate. So this is, I just want to say this is important. And I say that because for the spouses, it can be very difficult. Like, well, you weren't home before, you weren't home on the weekends, you weren't in the evening, and now you want to go to a game with your friend. Well, I'm sorry, you have to be home. We do need to set a schedule of meeting our commitments to you and being there for you. On the other hand, we also need to begin to enjoy our own lives, and just like you do, and have something that's for us. So inner circle is absolutely bottom line. I have slipped and I have to start my time again. And the middle circle is boundaries, triggers, things that might lead me toward the problem, things that might be part of the problem but aren't actually it. And the outer circle are things that I can enjoy and start to do in my life other than sexually act out. By the way, in treatment, I say to the guys, what do you like to do for fun? I see sex workers. Well, what do you do with your free time? I call my affair partner. There is no sense of how to have joy in my life without really having to put it down. I do want to say more, and I have a question for you, Tammy. Um, what if I put something on here and we're dealing with it right now? What if I have in my middle circle, which means warning signs, looking at images that I shouldn't be looking at? Is that what if a spouse is upset about that? What do I do? Well, let me tell you, um, first of all, the inner circle is behaviors. It's not a thought. It's not I was on the computer and thought about this. That is a middle circle warning. It becomes when it becomes a behavior, I'm looking at the porn, I'm making the phone call. Um, Not everything you spouses feel should be abstinence is. I might look at someone a little too long and make you very uncomfortable, and you might say, well, there's your sobriety. I'm not perfect. I might look at someone, but going toward them, engaging them, getting their number, staring at them, that's a whole different set of things. So all I want to say to you is you may not agree exactly on what goes on each of them, but you do have to understand what it means. You have to have lots of conversations about it. My last thing, addicts will say, oh, well, it's my sobriety plan. I don't have to show it to you. I mean, it's for my therapist. It's for my, no, I absolutely have to show you what are the things that I am that are absolutely a no for me. And you might say, well, what about this? And that's something we have to discuss. You can you can find this anywhere. Go look on Circle, Sex Plan, or all of those things. But I wanted to take a moment to explain it. And Tammy, thank you for your patience because a lot of people don't know what this means. And it absolutely means, oh, by one more thing, if I cross one of these inner circle abstinence, if I have to start again, I better tell my spouse. I better come to you and say, you know what? I was looking at porn last night and I wanted you to know because ultimately the goal is for me to be honest with you, to tell you my truth. The worst thing for you guys is finding out something we lie about. So in any case, this is here. You might take a look at it. It does change over time. We work on it extensively at Seeking Integrity. And thank you, Tammy, for letting me take all that time with that. I just think it's really important to help
Yeah, and
people
one of the things
understand.
I hope, if people say, do the circles change? And yes, what I hope changes the most, that outer circle, when you were talking about what do you do for fun, there's no life in addiction. I'm sitting here clipping pictures of irrelevant people. I'm not connecting. I'm not getting a good night's sleep. I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not getting a good night's sleep so I can show up for my family the next day. Like, so I hope the outer circle gets bigger. As I've been in recovery, I've learned that I share this often. I like to hike. I didn't know that, and so now that would be an outer circle behavior. So it isn't just recovery things. But going back to this question that brought all this up, and I do appreciate the in-depth explanation of it. But he didn't disclose to you. He spent 3 hours doing this, and we talk often about non-porn, anything that I'm doing for intensity, that gets that dopamine going, that gets me numbed out and escaping. is a problematic behavior. And he didn't go ask a sponsor first. He didn't talk to his therapist first. So, and then he's doing the defending, he's
And
not
you found
owning.
it.
Yes. And he's not owning. I can understand why this was problematic for you. And
Oh, this is
I'm
a
going to,
slip
yes,
for
I'm going
sure.
to, my therapist, and I'm going to extra 12-step meetings this week. And here's all the things that I'm doing so that I make sure that I don't do that again. So,
And yes, you are being gaslit lit. And I want to tell you one more thing that you may not like. There's more going on.
yeah.
Trust me. If you found this, if you ran into this, trust me, there's a lot of other. Now, I hope it's not with other people. I don't know what his thing is, but this is just a small piece because if it's okay to keep doing this, then either he's on the way to the next thing, warning, 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 or he is, which he didn't say, like this is a bad thing for me. He just defended it, or this is just what you found, and there's so much more. So I would worry. This would worry me, and his response would worry me. I completely understand how that would be upsetting to you. That's out of the doghouse. Empathy, compassion, rather than, oh well, my plan doesn't. That's defending and gaslighting. So let's keep going, Tammy. We're so in sync tonight. I love it.
So, going back on one more thing, and then I promise we'll move on. But like healthy boundaries for you, again, like this is not the worrying. Be concerned that he's lying still, that you can't build trust with that. You're in an
Right.
in-home therapeutic separation now. An in-home therapeutic separation to me reads you have qualified professionals that are helping you. You have a plan. You have identified things that you're looking to see that would help you be able to move closer to each other. So this would be something to talk to your qualified professionals about. I know you've got a CSAT and he says you're being gaslight. You are. So what is the plan? If he's going to continue to gaslight, then what do you need to do to take care of yourself, for the longer haul? And again, healthy boundaries for you are about your safety, not his behaviors. Okay, next question. I left my husband on Christmas Day on Christmas Day after learning he had been chronically unfaithful for our entire relationship, 12 years, with his exes, women at work and other women around the world. I believe he is narcissistic personality disorder. What support do you have for betrayal trauma recovery? So,
There's a lot of things in there.
so can you talk about narcissistic? I'll talk about resources. If you
Sure.
would talk about the narcissistic personality disorder versus traits.
Well, number one, with all due respect, it takes a professional with many, many years of training in order to, and also a long time with that person before I would say the difference between they have traits of narcissism or they have actually a personality disorder. It's a very severe thing. People are not able to function in life. So a personality disorder is actually in 30 years, I come to think they're very rare. So unless you have a lot of professionals going on, you have that psychological testing and all of that. Remember that addicts, by that word, just defined, means narcissistic. If I am having sex with other people at work and not telling you, and you might meet them sometime, and I'm being chronically unfaithful for 12 years, that behavior is very narcissistic, but it's also what addicts do. So when I am no longer acting that way, maybe I will have more compassion. Maybe I will have more empathy. Maybe I will be more available. So, but what worries me, and if this person were in treatment with us, my concern would be me too. My first concern would be really honestly, what are the legal ramifications for this? If it gets found out in the workplace, and this is one of the first things I say to the men who do this, like, oh, I never realized. Yeah, they can sue you. They can sue your family. They can take every penny out of, that the family has. They can take your house. When someone engages in a civil suit in a situation where they have been in a Me Too, it isn't good. And by the way, there's never one, right? There's always more and more. And then you get a class action suit where you've got 8 people. So one of the things that I would tell any spouse in this situation is make sure you've talked to a lawyer. Make sure that you have talked to a professional who can explain to you if my husband has been found out having sex with multiple people in the workplace, what are the vulnerabilities to me? Because I think you might have to protect your money. You might have to, I don't know, but you understand, let's take it a step back. Look at what this person is doing. We have laws against this. We have regular laws, we have civil. So my first concern would be your financial and emotional safety because he is putting your whole family and himself at such risk. By the way, he's going to lose his job. He may never get a job again. If he has a license like an accountant or a therapist or a doctor, he'll never practice again because these are the kinds of things where people lose their licenses. So he has an awful lot on the line. Plus the humility for you. And this is the hardest part. I can't imagine what it is like for you to walk in that office or think about having walked in that office years ago and realize that the people you've been saying, hi, what are you doing for the holidays are actually people who've been cheating on you with your husband. That is just so incredibly humiliating. And I'm so sorry. And I hope you never have to go there again. So, anyway, that's my stuff, Tammy. What support? I think support would be a great answer for you.
So I put in the chat, there's a drop-in group for moving on alone. It is for women who have left, women who have been left, or women who have 1.5 feet out the door. So it's not for repairing the relationship. I put that, that's on this on our platform. The Empowered Women Retreat, hugely beneficial. There are women at that who are staying in the relationship, who haven't decided, and who have left. So those are amazing and healing. October 24th through 27th, the link is in there. We've got the Betrayed Partner work group, and that is, again, not just for women who are looking to repair the relationship. It's what do you need to do to take care of you. So all of those resources, and if you are not working with a qualified professional, I'll put my email in the chat, but it's Tammy, Tami, at seekingintegrity.com. So lots of resources for partners.
I want to go back to this one more time and I want to be really clear. Number one, do you hear the alarm going off? That says anyone walks up to the house. I have a very security concerned spouse. In any case, which is not a bad thing. I just really want to remind you and say again, these are legal issues. We're not just talking about someone who cheated. We're not just talking about someone who did. These are legal issues. And I would pay attention that you have a lot more to lose, that he has a lot more to lose. And think about how this is a Me Too era, by the way. It's not like these things aren't on people's mind. What was he thinking when he thought that this would be a good idea to be sexual with someone in the workplace? And what they say is, oh, well, they don't work directly with me. Well, do you own the company? Well, yes. Well, guess what? So,
Oh,
Tammy, I
no,
mean,
it's
I
worse.
worry about this
Yeah,
piece.
no, it's worse. At the end, he is a police officer, and we
Oh,
socialize with the affair partners all the time. I have left and I am not returning. So yeah, and like honestly, that the double betrayal when it's not just him, that's bad. But when it's also other people, it's a friend, family
humiliating.
member, etc. It's very challenging. So we've got support for you. I put my email address, email me. I'll help you find more resources.
I have to say one more thing, Tammy, and I'm so sorry. He does what for a living? He
Police
does
officer.
legal issues. He helps people make sure that they are safe. He is putting you and your family in danger, all of those women, all those situations. And I don't think the force would be very happy with him if they found out this was going on. At a certain point, it's yeah, how funny is that? But at a certain point, it's really serious. And I will say one more thing to you. If you have any intention of moving in or working things out, this man needs to be in residential treatment. He needs
Yeah.
to come
No,
here and
she was very clear. I'm not ever going back. So yeah. So I'm clear on that. But yes, I agree with you that
this is a
yeah,
inpatient client.
he's going to keep doing this pattern, and more people will be hurt. So, and it's not
It's
your
awful.
problem.
This
You
is
take care of
awful.
you. Yes. Okay. Dr. Rob, the next one. I've been feeling quite anxious about the upcoming process of self-discovery and any potential disclosures. I'm worried about what I might uncover and whether I'll be able to handle it. I'm concerned about the possibility of making things worse or feeling overwhelmed.
Well, this is a great question for you, Tammy, because this person needs to find a way to find peace and um, to be able to tolerate grief and change and things that they feel badly about and still hold on to themselves. And I think this is a great arena for you to talk about. You've seen
Well,
people do this.
yeah, and honestly, like where the safest place is. If you're a male addict who's been struggling, guess what? That's what our residential treatment program is all about. I even use Dr. Rob. I talk about the guys are safely cocooned, and I have this vision of there's an awake staff person at all times. There's an expert team that are holding the space, making sure that
Yeah, they don't go on the
there's an
computer unless
environment.
they ask.
No, yeah, no,
Right.
I mean, yeah, technology blackout and then limited to monitor. Everything is designed to hold a safe space. And yeah, we've had guys that have come to our residential treatment program that have shared things that they thought they were going to take to their grave. And you know what? The freedom that happens from that, it's like they are shedding hundreds of pounds of toxic junk that they've been carrying around. Like, you don't have to continue to hold that shame. You don't have to continue to worry about who's going to find out. It is freeing. So be nervous, sure, about, about the journey. But if you're not doing that within the realm of, our residential program, make sure you have tons of support, because this is one of those things you don't want to be poking around at the deep levels until you have a really good platform of sobriety, so that you aren't just relapsing.
I want to say, as this comes from the perspective of a partner, do you have a plan for what to do once you hear disclosure? When you sit down and whatever is disclosed, whatever you uncover, whatever you have to handle, when we do disclosures, I say to the spouses, where are you going to sleep tonight? How are you going to drive home? Who are you going to see to support you? You, I think you will get overwhelmed. This is an overwhelming set. I would plan on being overwhelmed. How will you handle that? How will you manage that? What will you do to take care of yourself? So that when you do get overwhelmed, you have the kind of support that you need. And I hope that you are in some kind of group or getting some kind of support. I think that every woman here would tell you is in recovery that, we're here for you. Reach out to us, talk to us. We've all been through this before, and we have so many free groups where that can happen. So in any case, Tammy, we should keep going unless there's something else
Yes.
you want to say
So
about
we
that.
answered that from both perspectives. I read it from the addict perspective. So, okay, it's been 4 years since D-Day, a year and a half since we had proper help with sex addiction. He cannot sit with anger and rage, pain, walked out the other day, took some things and went to our home state, then turned around. I'm sorry. I'm in my red boundary and his. I told him he had to leave 90 days therapeutic separation. His he made me attitude minimizing and letting the evil child run the show. It's like he's two different people. He doesn't cheat. It's everything else he does. It's like living in insanity. So yes, like I was sharing, it's like we talk about the top layer is the acting out behavior. Then it's the rest of the stuff. And what I hear is that he does not have enough support yet to address those underlying issues. Anger anger is a lovely thing because I don't have to feel hurt. I can feel energy. Like it's kind of addictive on its own level. It's very powerful. And if I'm feeling anger and rage, I don't have to feel hurt, but yes, having a little tantrum and running off, rather than staying in and working on things, for partners, again, let's go back to, I'm a broken record. What are your healthy boundaries around this? And I hear inner circle behaviors. So, again, you're right. His little child is running the show, and you are on the whiplash end of, of this. So he's another guy that would really benefit from our residential treatment plan. That's the kind of stuff that gets addressed in the program, because we have lots of guys who have stopped acting out, abstinence, but have not addressed any of this, don't really have sobriety, are not living in recovery, are just not acting out. Well, that's the stuff we weren't supposed to be doing
All
in
right,
the first
drunk.
place. So yeah, so we don't get gold stars for not doing the things that we weren't supposed to do, so
Right. There's a couple of things here that
yes.
really concern me. Number one is you're talking about being with someone who's abusive.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think sometimes partners adapt to anger, rage, and pain. What does that mean? Does it mean he screams, he yells, he throws plates? Does he, hit the wall? Has he kept you from leaving a room? I think that a lot of you, and I hear it in your letters, because you guys, when we do treatments, send us letters about what you've been through. And I hear it in the letters. You're so used to it. I mean, when someone rages in anger to me and then walked out, I wonder, what does that mean? Forget the walk. You're certainly being punished. Um, by the way, there's something going on here. He left. What's going on that he left? I don't know. Something tells me there's something going out there. I don't know, but it feels like, what did he leave to go do? And when someone says he doesn't cheat, I don't know. I just wonder how it is you're so assured that that's true, considering if I can walk out, if I can come back, if I can, not get help, I don't see why I can't do whatever it is I want to do. And the last thing I would say is, what help are you getting? I wrote down, there is therapy for you. There are free groups for you. We have work groups for the partners. We have betrayed partners retreats. I didn't hear anything. And I have to say, I hear this from, I guess Tammy does too. I understand you love someone and you want them to be better, and you would do anything to make them better. You'd let them, you'd run across the street if they're going to hit by a truck to make sure that they're okay. But this is someone who's abusing you. He is crossing your boundaries, not getting help, raging at you, walking out, then coming back and saying, I'm so sorry, and giving you attitude. I mean, this is this is not this is second one where I'm really concerned about your safety, your sanity, and it really works. So what are you willing to do to take care of you? By the way, 90 days, let me just say what I think a therapeutic separation is. It means we don't talk for 90 days, except maybe in therapy, maybe once a week for a while. I've had people say, oh, we just don't talk for 90 days. I don't think that brings you toward healing in any way, but I do think maybe you want to sit with your pastor once a week and have that discussion. But I would not just say, well, they can text me, they can call me, we can talk whenever, we'll go to dinner. Separation means separation. And I think having someone guide that and help understand what that is for both of you is really, really helpful. So as Tammy said, I don't think this is something you could just decide how to do. You really need the support and direction of someone who understands what a separation really is, a therapeutic separation.
Yes, and have a plan. What are the markers you're looking for? That would show that this person is moving towards being trustworthy. That this would be like I would be on pins and needles all the time, wondering when the next explosion was going to happen. Okay, I have noticed, betrayed partner, I am the one who is back and forth with wanting to be all in and working on it with my addict partner, but then sometimes retract. What are your thoughts on the opposite happening in regards to the second question answered? This is your discussion about ambivalent love. Would you please share?
Well, I think you've got it, Tammy, as much as I do, but I will saying that I think this is part of what makes partners the most crazy. It is really, you're caught in a dilemma that you never expected to be in. Even when someone was difficult or, wasn't the best spouse, you look at them and you say, well, I mean, I look, on our worst days, I think inside, well, I love you and I would never hurt you and all of that kind of stuff, because I just know inside of myself that wouldn't happen. But as a spouse, I think you see the person you love and you say, oh, look at them. They're doing something nice, or look how cute they look, or I remember when, and then on the other side, you think they destroyed my life. How could they do this to me? And I've seen it happen all in the same day. For example, I've seen partners get really close to their addicts and they're feeling good and they're feeling safe and they have this really nice dinner. And then they start to get really, really angry because they realize, oh my God, I made myself vulnerable and I opened up to this person who really hurt me. And so dinner might be great. And then you leave and you're furious and afraid. And partners, it's ambivalence. I love you. I hate you. I love you. I hate you. And this is absolutely crazy making for the spouse. And as I said, every spouse and I've written about, crazy is your new normal. And I'm so, so sorry. But this is a very devastating set of circumstances that aren't going away anytime soon. And yeah, I would, this makes people crazy, not to mention how we act. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all the partners today. There's a lot of
Yeah,
pain in this room
yeah.
today.
So I put in these are recorded and they're posted. So I put the link to the previously recorded webinars. And Kristen Snowden and May did one called "Should I Stay or Should I Go?" And I'm not saying you should stay or go, but I loved. She had like I think it was 10 questions. I should go back and watch it, but it was 10 or 12 questions, and it came from John Gottman's work, and it was just helpful because if you journal about that, do you even like this person? Do you? I mean, so it can give you some information, like can you vision like staying together at some point, like, but I think it would give you just just some data, and journaling is super helpful. There's all kinds of research on why that is helpful. Secondly, we talk about from time to time safe harbor. And there's a lot of ambivalence and undecided. And sometimes we talk about putting in a relationship in safe harbor. It may be for 60 days, 90 days. I would not go a year. Even if you say for 60 days, and that just takes the decision. So for the next 60 days, I'm not even going to think about, am I staying or going, whatever I'm going to do. I'm going to work on me, healthy boundaries for partners, and work on being regulated. We talk about that a lot. Like, what do I need to do to be emotionally regulated, whatever else is going on? And then Dr. Rob talked earlier about, what am I seeing? What actions am I seeing? Are they esteemable? Is this person moving towards integrity? Is this person making progress? And it won't be a linear, I'm doing all things perfectly. It will be, a little, few speed bumps here and there, but are you overall seeing progress? And that can help you in the just staying regulated. But understand, yeah, like one moment it'll be like, oh, I love him. Oh, I can't stand him. Or like, oh, he drives me crazy. And gosh, for some partners too, identifying, we talk about there's a woundedness usually before age 10. And I often say, if you look at an 8-year-old child and go, that's kind of what I've got right now in this, in this state, and hoping that this person grows up, but I'm going to watch and see. That can help a bit too. So you're in this. This is a journey. There's no quick fix. We've got tons of tools, that a betrayed partner work group that starts this week, would be a useful. And I'm going to take one more little quick second. A work group, whatever they are, out of the doghouse, sex addiction 101, betrayed partners, they are all psychoeducation. They are not therapy. Many good therapists recommend their clients participate in these because it is what you don't get in therapy. And you'll have more information to take to your therapist. They see them making, their clients making more progress. So it is supplemental to working with a qualified therapist, but super helpful, and you'll have more people to, to connect with, your tribe. So okay, next one, Dr. Rob. And last one, I think. I'm the betrayed partner. How do I create a stronger sense of responsibility and dedication to my own healing? Oh, this is a great question. Instead of obsessing over getting him to take it seriously as I think it is. I'm currently fixing career and finance mistakes, so personalized care, retreats, CSAT work groups is not a sustainable option for the next 3 months. I'm dealing with cyclical self-abandonment and overly associating my identity with other people's opinions. How can I essentially hold my bleeding wounds together and keep whole while I'm work towards personalized care? Thank you for this platform.
Yeah,
Thank you
neat.
for asking that question. That's a lot of, it's a lot of insight on stuff. So you're here. This is free. We've got, I put the link for the previously recorded. I don't think any human could possibly watch every single one of them. There's so many. So tons of free resources. Dr. Rob's podcasts, both the sex, love, and addiction, and overcoming betrayal and addiction. Have resources and support. Our drop-in groups are free, and so another free resource. I've done payment plans with work groups, so I'm, don't count it out. They're low cost, and I do my best. If somebody's really struggling with that, I'll do a payment plan. So, and that'll be on the recording. So, there's options. One more quick, Debbie Allen did a webinar in June of 2023 on a 3-circle plan. Dr. Rob just shared a 3-circle plan for addicts. It was on a 3-circle plan for betrayed partners. And I love that because it was in my inner circle. It might be that I'm focusing on him or other people, or I'm overly focused on my career, whatever it is. And again, a 3-circle plan is something that you is individualized. Your middle circle may be, I'm stressed out, I'm overtired, I'm not taking care of myself because there's too many things I'm juggling. Your outer circle, what is nurturing for you? I mentioned hiking. It may be going for a walk. It may be listening to soothing music. It may be whatever. What is good for you that helps you connect to yourself? Meditations, the 4-7-8 breathing. In 2 minutes, that can help me get grounded and regulate. So there's lots of tips and tricks to help you, and you can make progress. And you know what, you talked about your bleeding wounds. If you are in connection with other people, you aren't the only one putting bandages on. Other people will be there and help support you, in the journey. So okay, sorry, that was long.
Sorry, Tammy, you care so much. I
I
never
do.
associate it with. Um, I guess the one thing that really struck me is I'm dealing with cyclical self-abandon and overly associating my identity with other people's opinions. First of all, it's human to associate your identity with other people's opinions. In fact, did you know that when we are very young, we don't have any sense of ourselves? We
Hmm.
figure out who we are in response to how we're treated. If someone is very loving and caring, and well, then I must be someone who deserves being loved and cared about. So that's how little kids think about it. So I hear that you're in a crisis, that you're trying to put your life back together, that this is a nightmare for you individually. I don't like personally that you are challenging yourself about your own problems. I understand that's important, and I would want to do that later. This is why I wrote Prodependence, is because in the moment of crisis, when your life is falling apart, it's not the time to say, "Oh, what's wrong with me?" Your job is to get through the day, to make sure your finances are done, to make sure you have a lot of support. I don't think you need a professional necessarily at this moment to restore your sanity. I do think you need a lot of support. And I think you may need to be much kinder, because anybody would feel abandoned. Anybody would look to other people for support and figure out who they are. And if you have issues, deal with them later. Get through the crisis that you're in. And I'm not saying don't be in therapy, don't work on yourself. I know there's financial issues, but I am saying work on the present. When I do therapy with spouses under these circumstances, I say things like, how are you going to get through the day? How are you going to do the weekend? What about next week when you're going to see your family? I want to support you right here and now. And if there are issues about you that we need to worry about, let's see. And by the way, I'm sorry, I'm talking too fast. One of the first things we learn in therapy school is you never diagnose someone who is in a crisis. I don't know who you were 3 months ago. You might have been very stable, feeling good about yourself, but this crisis has driven you to look like a nutcase. Okay, but that doesn't mean you are one. It means that's not the right word, is it, Tammy? But at this time, it is our day off, so I can say what has happened to you makes you crazy. It also makes any issues you have worse. So if I have abandonment issues, and I do, and I'm
Me
struggling with a
too.
spouse who is, all that's gonna get kicked up for me, of course, because I'm in a crisis. So I just ask you to be kinder to yourself and look for ways to tolerate and manage what you're dealing with now in your life today, rather than really focusing on your past. And that, what, by the way, will help you with not being able to afford a therapist right now, because you don't have to deal with that right now. Just make your life better, however you can. Tammy,
And all those resources I mentioned, truly, like those can help you have, like even the 3 circle plan, because you can go, oh, I'm going to choose something in my green circle. And you'll feel good about that, but it'll also help you regulate and not feel, like you're bleeding out. So lean into the resources. Thank you all for joining us on Labor Day. Thank you, Dr. Rob, for being here. Grateful
thank
for
you, Tammy, for
everyone.
your labors.
All
And I will
right,
see
bye
you tomorrow back
everyone.
in our workplace.
Exactly.
Bye
Bye.
for now, guys. I hope this is helpful.